Okay, it is 50-hour service time on the Kioti CK2620. If you're familiar with the 2610, then you probably can just skip this video. Nothing's changed, but figured I'll go over what needs to be done and what items might be needed. So it's good to have a couple oil pans. If you have a couple of drain pans, you can get away with one. Good couple of funnels, clean funnels. I just usually run some brake cleaner or something through them, let them air dry out, get them clean. You'll want some universal tractor fluid there, UTF, in case you need to bring your level back up any, because when you change out the hydraulic filter and hydrostat filter, you will end up losing some. Of course, you got your engine oil, because that'll be part of it, some coolant when we check the coolant. And then for your basic tools, you're going to want to get a air chuck, air gun. That'll help for blowing out the filter. Air chuck for when we check tire pressure. You need a wrench with a 17mm, and of course you want your torque wrench so we can check the lugs there. Then the filters for this, really all that is needed according to the book is your HST filter, your hydraulic filter, and your oil filter. I pieced mine together from Amazon. Yeah, there are kits available out there that do include everything, and I hear that the fuel filters usually do not end up working, but since the air filter just needs to be checked and maybe blown out, I'm not going to worry about replacing that right now. It doesn't call for it. Might want a set of gloves, just to easy put on off in case you want to refer back to your book at any time. And of course some oil filter wrenches. I guess before we get started, we'll take a quick peek at the book. So it does mention maintenance there right on the inside, and it's good to check over those. But you could also just skip right to the maintenance section and check out the chart, so that way you'll see what needs to be replaced versus just checked, adjusted. We will check out the clutch pedal, brake pedal, and also look at some greasing. Now for greasing, they do say every 100 hours, but then they also mention every 50 hours. So we'll go over these. A couple of these ones are a little harder to find, so I'll point those out during this too. And of course on the same page we'll get our torque specs. So let's get the camera in position. We'll get started with changing the oil. And one other quick thing before we get to the oil, I forgot to mention, you want a grease gun and probably a nice rag to wipe up any extra. And if you've got one but not necessary, the official Kioti sweatshirt. Alright, so the drain plugs are where you would expect to find them, right up under the motor. You can see there's two of them. That's because the axle runs in between, so you have to pull both of them and drain them both. See if I can get this set up so we can get doing that. One free. Two free. Now let's see if I can do this without dropping them in the oil. Helps if you keep a little up pressure on the bolt. So when you're sure you've gotten all of your threads, and just remove quickly. Get the other side draining too. And I managed to do it without dropping any of the bolt. Leave that draining for a bit and get set up for the filter. Camera repositioning. Alright, the oil's just about done trickling. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that filter there. If you have a flex funnel, those things are handy. That way you can fold it the way you want it and get ready to catch the drips. Otherwise, just clean it up real quick, maybe a little brake clean. So for this, I will be using the oil filter wrench. Got that crack free. Just about ready to move the pan over. I'll just use my second one. That's where having two comes in handy. Drop that in there. Good enough. New filter. If you look up cross references, there are a lot of different filters that will support this. Just grab a shop rag here. Clean up anything on the outside. You want clean mating surfaces. Plus, get a dab of the oil, take it right off the rubber ring of the old filter. Get it on your finger there and just rub it on. Some people don't believe in it, some people do. I've always done it and I figured if I had luck with it, so I'll keep going. Of course, we won't be putting the wrench to this. Just snug it up and then go a little further. That should be good. And while that finishes, I'm going to grab my paint pen real quick. Get that marked on there, the hours and the date, and then move back underneath to put the plugs back in. So we'll be back with that. Alright, so there we go, marked up. Took the liberty of marking my other filters as well. Oh, I had the pen out. Gun dripping, it's time to get these plugs back in. Adjustment here. I'm just going to take a rag, paper towel, clean off my threads. Get them all twisted up by hand. I want to make sure none of them are going to be cross-threaded. Clean number 2. Alright, didn't drop them. Move this out of the way. They don't need to be really reefed on too hard. They got a little rubber washer there. Kind of go snug and a little German torque setting, good and tight. Clean up any residual. And after a quick camera repositioning, we will move on to the HST filter. Alright, so the HST filter is located on the left-hand side of the tractor, or basically like the driver's side if you were in America. So I don't know if you can see that because of the lighting coming through. I scratched a little bit just to confirm. You see that little bit of orange paint? That is the color of the Daedong HST filter. So I just scratched away on each one just to confirm that I had the correct one. And now I'm gonna grab my filter wrench. This is the one you definitely want to be prepared for, again, so you don't lose. Oh, yeah, speaking of being prepared, might help if I have my other oil pan. I let that drain and forgot to bring it back out. Boy, I don't think this filter wrench is the greatest. You know, I've heard these things can be a pain, so maybe I'll grab a little extra leverage and be right back. Alright, it's good to keep a little bit of piece of piping around for these occasions. Alright, success. Yes, getting the wrench off the filter might be a different story. Well, I'll worry about that after. Alright, no going back. Hey, get a little bit on the finger coat. You want to make sure that the old rubber O-ring came off before you try twisting on the new one. Once again, kind of get it snug by hand. Clean it off a little bit. And then one final snugging. Alright, now we'll be able to move over to the other side. I just gotta get this wrench back off of the filter. Alright, here we are on the other side. Ready to change out the hydraulic filter. So you can see it a little bit. The challenge with the hoses in the way as far as visibility goes, so I hope I'm actually able to capture this. Jeez, that is already almost a fail right there. Alright. See how much of a pain this one is. Man, I had to use a rubber mallet to get it off of the last filter. I think it just slipped. Yeah, that's what you call slippage. It wants to turn it. Alright, looks like I'll have to get a secondary wrench in here. Oh, and you're not even looking at it anyway. Do this without disturbing the camera position too much. Give it a little helping hand here, get 2 wrenches on it. Still with me so far. Probably should have worn a head mount or something. In fact, let me try changing positions of the camera again. Alright, let's see if that position will work. Alright, same thing. I'll deal with that after. So, this would be a good time to get your other filter prepped, ready to be put on. Remove the final plastic. And it starts to flow. Yeah, you can see you do lose a little bit. Once again, prep the new filter with some fluid. Try to get back on, making sure not to crush things. And again, make sure your rubber O-ring came with the old one. By that I mean came off. Get that about hand tight as best I can do until I wipe it off. My hands are pretty slippery, so I might have to use the wrench. Yeah, just gonna snug it up with that, but of course I first have to get it off of the other one. A little more successful getting it off that time. Oh, does this not work? I guess it should. Nope, alright, use the other wrench. Of course, I don't want to squeeze the body too hard. I didn't realize it's not too snug yet. Alright, I think that's about it. Yep, we'll go over there. Well, we'll move on to the next steps. Alright, with the filters changed, now it's time for fluid replenishment and check. I don't think you guys want to bother seeing me put oil in, but this is where the oil will go in. There's your dipstick to check it. Book says I think it's 1.6 gallons. So that's where the 2 gallons will come in handy to help replenish that. A little later, I'll check the front axle fluid. And because I took those filters off and lost some, I'm gonna check my hydraulic fluid. I'll take care of those things and be right back with you. Oh, and before anybody panics, I do have a couple of pieces of angle iron there that I put in to keep my loader up and safe. I relieve the pressure onto that, so that way I won't have any mishaps. And here's the little helper Maya. Alright, anyway, let me get to putting that oil in. Alright, so after I put some oil in it, I started up, let it run for about 3 or so minutes. Let it cool down for 5 minutes. At that time, I worked my 3-point hitch just to move the hydraulics a little bit. Battery's getting a little low, so I'll try to just point out the things that I don't really think you need to watch for. So the front axle, I mentioned it earlier, it's right here. Just want to pull it up, check it for fluid. I know you're not going to be able to see the level on camera here, but I did paint the end yellow. Looks like just a slight bit low, so I'll plan to put some in there, and that's where I will add it to. While I'm over here, I can just look up a little bit. There's my coolant. It is in the low area, so I'll plan on adding some to that. The yellow paint that you see on the end, that's a suggestion from another YouTuber, and I think it's a great idea. It helps you see the fluid a lot better. So let me pull out the rear. But yeah, you can just get yourself a yellow paint pen, paint the end of it, let it dry for a good hour. And again, you probably won't see the level, so I'll do a quick peek. And looks like, yeah, I'm just a slight bit low there, that little bit that I lost. So now we'll move on to some greasing points. The book basically calls out this grease fitting, one that I haven't seen mentioned in videos because it seems like it's kind of hidden a little bit. Let me see if I can get an angle where you can see it. I don't know if you can look behind this frame right here. I'm kind of pointing at it. There's a nipple back there. Moving around. Driver's side. Check underneath. And you will find a nipple right here. Of course, they're going to be, that one will be more fun to get to probably than the other one, but it is possible. I haven't been able to get in with one of those quick attach grease fitting ends, so you might just want to keep your spare end around. The other thing the book will mention is checking your clutch lever for any play, and you are supposed to have roughly around 3/4 of an inch of play, so that's pretty good. The brake play, I have none, so that's pretty good. The belt tension, it's between like probably a 1/4 and a half, so you know, 3/8 of play, which you're not trying to apply a lot of pressure, but you just want to see the deflection there, and I'm within spec there, so that seems good. Other than that, the air cleaner, just gonna want to pop this, and then this will unscrew, pop off, pull your air cleaner out, and that's where having one of these or even longer so you can actually reach down inside the air filter and blow around. I'll take care of that in a moment. I don't think you guys need to see how any of that is done. You could leave some comments if you do want to see more details like that. And then the torque, you'll find in your book here, there's the settings for the torque wrench. If you've never messed with a torque wrench before, you got your increments of 10, and then here's your increments of 1. So if I needed 71, I would screw it up a tiny bit beyond there. And I didn't mention it, but a couple of extensions you're going to want. Of course, nothing says DIY more than a mismatched set of tools. So anyway, I'm going to finish this up. And yeah, again, if there's anything that I might have left out, feel free to leave it in the comments, or I'll here to learn from each other. But that's basically all there is to it. The 50-hour on the CK2620. Back real quick, so I did also forget to mention this screen. I mean, it looks pretty clean. I'm not doing any mowing or anything with this, but if you are doing a lot of mowing, this is something you should check daily. Tire pressure, check often. But a couple of grease fittings that I left out there, so let me see if I can turn the camera down here. Let me get it from the other side. Alright, so the front axle, you've got your pivot point. There's one grease fitting there, and the other grease fitting right there. So that is the grease fittings that they mentioned. Of course, daily operation, depending on how much you're using your loader and stuff, you want to hit your grease fittings on your arms. If you have a backhoe, do the same. You want to check these bolts quite often. I've had one so far out of all of them start to loosen up on me. Yeah, I think that pretty much concludes it now. So now I can finally wrap this up again.